Let's talk about the dismal state of modern media and modern entertainment. But before I go into all of that, if you want to check out something that is actually good entertainment and also very informative and very, very important for you to know, you should check out, Carl and I did a recent premium video analysing Matt Walsh in the Daily Wire's What is a Woman, where we just went through a few of the choice clips looking at how Matt Walsh was breaking down the ideology of gender ideology and then demonstrating as well how it's infected the general mainstream. Even if you can go out and talk to people on the street in certain cities, they will be spewing the talking points without even necessarily recognizing where it is exactly that it's come from. And it's all very important stuff to know, but one of the wonderful things about it is, despite how dire and tragic I would say the situation is as a whole, Matt Walsh and the others, especially with the editing and production value, have managed to make it very entertaining as well. There are some good belly laughs that you can get out of the film. So check out our analysis of it and also check out the documentary itself, because I think it's really good.
As a quick aside on this, I actually think that Matt didn't go as deep into the ideologies he could have done, because, I mean, a lot of it he's interacting directly with the person. It's hard to, consider what's been said and give it a sort of thorough analysis in the moment, because you're being presented with some lunatic nonsense. And so one of the things that we do in this is actually take the time to go, well, look what they've said. Look what that assumes. Look at what the location of their interests are and things like that. And so we actually go into more depth than Matt is capable of doing in the moment. It's not his fault, but it was something I'm surprised he didn't do in the documentary as well, actually.
That's true. I do think that I think he was letting the insanity of these people speak for itself.
Yeah,
which is effective. But like you say,
Yeah.
we go a bit deeper into the origins, what it is that the assumptions that are being made about the world are that's pushing this ideology.
And who this serves as well is a very interesting question. But anyway.
Yes. But without any further ado, let's go a little bit further. So there is some good news with the state of modern entertainment. There is some actually good stuff coming out. For instance, the most recent Top Gun film, Top Gun Maverick, the sequel that's released over 30 years after the original, seems to actually be doing really well and is pleasing audiences who are very happy with the film, happy that it isn't going to a woke agenda, to the point where Rory's as well written a review of it on our website that you can check out if you want. I'm going to read a little bit of it without spoiling the rest of it, but Rory does lament, of course.
Sorry, before we go on, I've heard nothing but rave reviews about this, and that it's an explicitly anti-woke film.
I wouldn't even necessarily say that. The stuff that I
haven't seen it.
Yeah, the stuff that I've not seen it either, but the stuff that I've heard isn't that it's anti-woke. It's just that it's not woke at all, and just tells a good story that carries on from the previous film and shows the characters respect.
But what I mean when I say anti-woke, what I mean is there's a like the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and just everything.
I've not watched the Obi-Wan Kenobi
I haven't,
review,
but I've watched a lot of reviews of it because they're more informative. But The Witcher and things like this, there's a habit that Hollywood has at the moment of going, your straight white male character, yes, that's the framing around that gets shoved to the side, and then a diverse woman of color is now actually the main character. Right?
Same with He-Man, for instance.
Same with He-Man. It's a recurring trope where they use it as essentially sort of like a Trojan horse, being like, oh, you want to watch The Witcher? You want to watch He-Man? Yeah, well, you've got, diverse character of color number 37.
The Witcher, I watched half of the first series, was particularly egregious with a lot of, because The Witcher is an explicitly Polish franchise, and I don't know if you know about this, but medieval Poland wasn't exactly the most diverse place in the world.
It doesn't even matter, because Cavill, it's called Witcher, and Cavill's Witcher was a very entertaining character. He's got lots of funny quips. He's
usually the best thing about them.
Exactly. And you think, okay, but I want more of that. No, you've got to hear about this. Essentially, they're turning the subplots into the main plots, and that's the sort of expressly anti-woke nature of this.
Yeah, that's true. That's because the subplots will be focusing on the ancillary characters who we've made a diversity casting out of.
Exactly. And it's a way of bait and switching you on it, and I can't stand it. And apparently, like I said, I haven't seen this, but apparently that's not what's done in it.
Well, this little bit that I've taken from Rory's review explicitly talks about this aspect of the film. So Rory does, of course, lament the lack of overt homoeroticism that was in the first one.
Have you watched the first one?
I haven't actually, but
haven't watched the
I'm
first
aware
Top
of the volleyball scene.
It's not gay, right? It's not gay, but
it is something you'd say no homo.
Yes, it was unashamedly masculine when it came out, and in retrospect, it's unself-aware about how it could be construed to look gay.
Yes.
So it is kind of gay in a way.
A little bit, but
Hilarious.
it's just big buff men half naked on the beach slapping each other on the ass for encouragement. Okay, I don't know what's so gay about it, man.
There's a kind of innocence about it though, because it obviously didn't understand that people would look at it like that in the future, which is quaint. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that. But I'll just read some of Rory's.
I don't even particularly like the original Top Gun either.
All right, Rory.
Thanks, Rory.
All right. Rory just interjecting there. But yeah, so Rory says in here, he says, but perhaps most notably, Top Gun Maverick achieved something that many thought impossible in our current age. Unlike much of contemporary cinema, it entirely avoids the trap of postmodern deconstruction and wokist cringe. Archetypally masculine characters such as cruisers are not bastardized as pathetic caricatures of their former selves to be ridiculed by the empowered women and gender non-conformists around them. Indeed, there is a female pilot under Maverick's devoir. I don't know why Rory's using such fancy language.
Yeah, I don't know what that means either.
Me neither. Upon his no, that's the French in him right there.
Yeah.
Upon his return to Top Gun, yet her presence in this overwhelmingly male sphere is dignified and respected, whilst the main characters remain firmly purposeful in their roles. Equally, there is no mention of race. Black pilots are present as equals, with zero reference made to their historical plight or supposed subjugation under systemic whiteness. And doesn't that just sound like a breath of fresh air?
Yeah, I mean, that's literally a return to like 80s and 90s movies. Think like Predator and stuff like that.
Predator and stuff like that's fantastic. They've got diverse casts.
But it's just not brought up because it's not relevant to the story.
I mean, the best thing about the whole Aliens thing is when the first one came out, oh my god, what's her name who played Ripley?
Weaver. Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. When she was cast, the role had been written like asexually. There wasn't a specific gender. It was just like, let's see who's going to be the best to come in. And Sigourney Weaver was just like this 6 foot tall woman who came in and dominated the screen test. So they were like, right, she's in the Ripley role. It wasn't anything to do with we need a woman for this. It was just like, oh, she's got the right presence and the right acting chops.
It actually really works because of the confrontation with the alien queen as well.
Oh, and the Alien is the second one. She takes on that maternal role.
Yeah, it really works. But anyway, the as this was saying, this is exactly what I was talking about. Like the way that like, and this like think of the return of Luke Skywalker in the latest Star Wars films.
God, do I have to?
Yeah, exactly. This broken, decrepit old man where like Rey's just like, oh, I'm the new Skywalker now. Basically, it's like this everything about it is about degrading and humiliating and sidelining the straight white male characters, and you know that it's being done as part of a conscious attempt to change the way that media works. And so this is, like as Roy's put out, a shocking breath of fresh air. And I might actually go and watch it. I've got no particular interest, but I just want to see what it's like.
Is what it's like to go back and experience good films.
Like time traveling.
I'd say The Northman is also something I would recommend for anybody because it really does not
pander to anybody.
It doesn't pander to anybody and actively leans into the morality of the times it's set in, that being that these people are brutal and they like to go out and raid and pillage and rape people. And it's like, well, this is just what it was like back then. Also no black people because we're talking about Iceland and Norway in the year 914. So, you know.
Yeah, but it's just like, why is that wrong? You know?
No, exactly.
Like, go make a film about the Zulus and don't include any white people. And I don't care.
I'd be actually interested to see that, but they don't do that. They have to take our cultural heritage and change that for themselves. So it's like, you celebrate your own cultural heritage if you want to. I'm not stopping you.
Shaka Zulu, we'll have to do an epochs on Shaka Zulu at some point because he was a madman. Absolute madman. He's like a Zulu Hannibal, but then he goes mad and ends up having to get killed by his own brothers. I'll talk about another time.
Yeah.
It's really good though.
Yeah. And there's one other good thing that I want to talk about, which is a new tactic for destroying woke corporations, which I've seen. And I don't even think the film it's been used against is, as far as I'm aware, particularly woke, which is Morbius, which I don't know if you're aware of the circumstances of this.
I can't understand how Jared Leto is famous. Has he ever done anything good?
think in the late 90s, he had a pretty boy face.
Sure,
and he was my favorite roles are when he gets horrible things happen to him.
In Fight Club,
like Fight Club, Requiem for a Dream. American Psycho. Just where horrible, brutal things happen to the man.
He's famous for being like a sidekick bit part actor.
Well, he also had 30 Seconds to Mars.
I've never seen that. Like,
They're a band. They're his band.
oh right, okay.
Yeah, they've got a few all right songs. Nothing too special.
But I just don't understand why he's a famous actor. Why he's a big name. But anyway, what was Morbius? I know I didn't watch it, but I heard people talking about it.
Morbius was a Sony Marvel collaboration, another one on the superhero machine just being pumped out one after the other, and nobody cared about it. It was some weird vampire film where it's like, now Jared Leto is a vampire. Aren't you interested? No.
Tell me more about being a cult leader. I think that's more interesting.
Yeah, nobody was interested. It came out in the box office and bombed, and people started memeing the hell out of it. They started doing memes where they were like, "Oh, I couldn't believe the part where Jared Leto said it's Morbin time. I can't wait for Morbius 2, Morbius, you know, stuff like that." And what happened was the executives at Sony decided,
There's a lot of chatter about Morbius online.
There's a lot of
liked
memes.
it.
This is only a good thing. I know. We'll re-release it again in the cinema. And they did this the other week. And just to read out here from this Newsweek article, taking Morbius's release into week 10, Sony's reissue of the movie didn't pay off, earning just $85,000 between all of the theaters they released it in. I think somebody figured out that was like $82 per theater.
Ooh,
so there was probably like 3 memesters going in. I can't wait to watch Morbius. And just it made no money. And this edition takes its total domestic intake to $73.6 million, worldwide earnings of $163 million, which when you take the budget and the marketing and then the fact that they re-released it into account means that this has been an absolute loss for Morbius. So if you really dislike a film and enjoyed that it bombed, just meme it into oblivion and watch them put it in the cinema so it can bomb again.
What I love about this as well is this is taking now the form of sort of like the internet gaslighting Sony executives.
Good.
Like, exactly. It's like, what do they want? What are they doing? Why are we failing every time? But we thought they liked it. You know, like they.
I mean, it keeps trending on Twitter. What are we doing wrong?
Exactly. So I love the idea that they just have no idea. Like they can't pin down what reality is.
I mean, are we surprised that Hollywood executives don't understand what reality is?
No.
But now, if we move on to the bad news, well, semi-bad news because the comic industry, as I covered in my very first segment, which is kind of a return to some of the subjects of there, covered the Western comics industry is failing, is falling flat on its face entirely. Nobody's buying this stuff. But you can just see the intention and the goals of the writers of these supposedly once heroic and iconic superheroes. Although I think I've not got it in here, I know that in a recent issue of Batman, he just steps aside and lets Antifa deal with an issue with the police because he's like, they're the ones fighting justice. I'm not needed here. That's not what Batman's about. If you've been watching anything...
Antifa are big fans of the billionaire.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think people have mentioned that Batman is inherently right-wing, just in terms of his attitude. He's very hierarchical.
He should be.
Yeah, and when you see the way he treats the Bat family, especially in the 90s, he is no nonsense. If they do anything, you're out. Yeah. Okay, get out of here. But you can see the intentions of these people, like the Superman son of Kal-El.
Batman says trans rights.
Oh, no. When they revealed that Superman's son was now bisexual and in a relationship with this pink-haired twink.
Oh, that's what I really needed to know about. You know, what's Superman's sexuality?
Yeah,
okay.
And the writers have been going on about how him being an empathetic young bi guy is far more heroic than somebody punching a supervillain in the face.
Well, how's that going to persuade the supervillain not to destroy the city?
I don't know, maybe the supervillain's just dressed up for pride?
I watch a few of the...
Maybe the supervillains are allies?
I watch a few of the Comicsgate creators, and like the consensus that they've found is that basically the purpose of a superhero story is for the superhero to physically overpower the villain. It comes
and what
down
else
to
are they there for? Why else does he need laser eyes and big, strong muscles?
It's the climactic ending fight after the emotional build-up that they have to have a physical confrontation. So I don't know what Superman's going to do to the supervillain, the son of Superman even.
Is he going to charm the pants off of him?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's bi, so it doesn't matter which one they are, you know. Yeah. He can go for either way now.
He shames him for being a racist. I don't know.
Probably, but I'll just read a little bit of this article. Asked in hindsight, is there anything you might have changed or done differently during his run on the series? The writer, Tom Taylor, pointed to the apparently rushed display of John and his boyfriend Jay Nakamura's first kiss, asserting, there were things that were like, okay, this has to happen by coming out day, which is a real thing. I looked it up. It's October 11th is apparently coming out day. So if you're in the closet, wait till October. Then it's all for it, and your parents can't be angry at you. I mean, look at the calendar, Mum. You're not allowed. And I would have loved a little bit longer for John and Jay to be together before the kiss. But having said that, the importance of that moment far outweighs slight pacing issues, So the message is more important than telling a good, compelling, and well-paced story. I mean, we've known this for a long time. All of Western media, for the most part, is basically just an arm of leftist propaganda.
Yeah.
So we have a young bi guy who also is just the sweetest, most empathetic, nurturing guy who doesn't want to hurt anyone. And I think that's far more heroic than somebody punching a supervillain in the face. No.
Why?
No, it's just not. You need to explain why that's more heroic when the guy is too busy trying to be empathetic and nurturing, and lets maybe the school full of the bus full of school children just like fly off the edge of the bridge, and the supervillain's laughing there. But oh well.
Why would I want to read this?
Yeah.
Well, I could read someone's Tumblr blog and get the same effect.
But they carry on bounding into comics points out here. However, though Taylor believes that readers truly want their main Superman title to focus on intrapersonal relationship drama of a pacifist teenage superhero, sales numbers...
Pacifist superhero, great.
Yeah, sales numbers show this to be far from the case. And, I mean, comics have shown intrapersonal drama for a long time, like Peter Parker, Spider-Man, for instance. Yeah. The thing is, they tend to intersperse that with action scenes and story. Yeah, so according to sales reports, the most recent issue has not even charted at all, ever since Taylor's self-lauded series has failed to place in any rankings by either units sold or dollars made, so seems like that's going great.
So it's going to be like less than 10,000 copies sold?
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. No one's buying this stuff because nobody wants this crap.
Well, why would I? What is interesting about this? Yeah. Like I said, this is just a Tumblr blog with art.
And probably Tumblr quality art as well.
Well,
it doesn't
look
too
terrible,
bad, but still,
yeah.
it's going to something terrible itself. And
it's a vanity project for whoever's writing it.
It's complete narcissism. Yeah. And speaking of that sort of thing, we've also got from the same interview, if we go to the next article, the Arrowverse is introducing a transgender hero to give queer children a superhero who will fight for them. And the problem is that superheroes are supposed to fight for all innocence in the first place. So that's
not anymore.
No, not anymore. Sorry, you're not queer
enough.
Not the
cis-het ones.
You're not queer enough to be worth my time saving, so you can go burn for all I care.
Yeah, and she looks like a total Karen as well.
Yeah, they just carry on with all the same sorts of narcissistic talking points that you would expect. And the funny thing, I think, is that this does have genuine repercussions for the most part, because when you see all of culture pushing for certain things, and we've gone over before how it might have been Tumblr and Glee that introduced this into the mainstream in that article, you can go to the next one and see that there are people like look at the age of this person here. They look about 12, and the quote is direct from this. It was around 10 that I started questioning if I was bi. Since then, it was a slippery slope. Am I bi, omni, lesbian? Now, recently, I'm like, am I pan? Now I'm starting to realise I'm queer, as if all these terms aren't just interchangeable with one another at this point. These are brainwashed children. And it's not just the schools, it's not just the institutions, it's the media they're consuming as well will be pushing this.
Did you ever have a goth phase when you were young?
I didn't have a goth phase. I had a I'm more metal than you, look at my awesome spiked wristband phase.
That's what I'm getting from this. I mean, look at their face. Like a generation ago,
flags.
Yeah, exactly. But a generation ago, they would have been wearing like goth makeup and like the sort of heavy metal gear and stuff. This is so obviously a fad.
Yeah, of course. And the thing
they're going to look back on this in 10, 15 years time and go, oh, God, what was I doing? Look at me.
Well, the problem is that they do this, and the problem is that the slippery slope that they're on isn't just like the goths and such, where it's like, yes, they self-harmed, it was very bad, it was very detrimental to their mental health, and they will still have scars from it, but at least those scars aren't from where they've removed their breasts, for instance. So that's
true.
The big scary part for me. And as well as that, we've had people like Matthew McConaughey working to push agendas for the White House, coming out and saying that he's honouring the victims of the horrific mass shooting in Uvalde by trying to upend the Second Amendment.
I thought he was a conservative.
He's been a centrist for a while, but it seems that he's a bit flip-floppy on the gun issue. And you can just see his Oscar-winning performance when he was giving a speech to the White House press secretary and stuff, if you just want to play this clip, John.
Mayday wore green high-top Converse with a heart she had hand-drawn on the right toe because they represented her love of nature. Camilla's got these shoes. Can you show these shoes, please? Wore these every day. Green Converse with a heart on the right toe. These are the same green Converse on her feet that turned out to be the only clear evidence that could identify her after the shooting. How about that?
Yeah, so obviously he's talking about some pretty tragic stuff, but just advocating to take away the rights of Americans.
It's not even... What was that?
I know. It's a bit cringe, isn't it?
But, like, what was that flourish? Like, what do you... I mean, right, kids don't tend to wear clothes because they've got, like, symbolic meaning. You know, oh, look, she was wearing these green Converses with a heart because she loves nature. She's a conservationist or something. It's like, kids don't do that for a start, right? So I think calling BS on the story to start with. But, like...
I mean, people have been pointing out that the shoes that his wife was holding don't seem to be the actual shoes that the girl was wearing as well.
I saw that as well, that they are apparently props. But moreover, like, what's with this, you know, how about that? Like...
Well, I can only assume he wasn't given much prep time for this role he took on here.
I guess so, but this is terrible. Like, this is anti-persuasive.
It's the sort of thing that really makes me lose quite a lot of respect for Matthew McConaughey, whereas before I thought he was actually seemed like a good guy. And I'm sure he's a good guy in a lot of other ways. It's just a shame that he's decided to come out and shill for the Biden administration and shill for their aims and agendas, because I really don't think they are anything to do with America. I mean... go.
Yeah, sorry. It's just this deceiver's smile that he's got when he's doing it. Like, he looks like he's lying, and he looks like he knows he's lying.
Yeah, but it really it comes across, if we go to the next bit where it's just got a little bit more about this, where he goes, responsible gun owners are fed up with the Second Amendment being abused and hijacked by some deranged individuals. No, they're fed up with the American government continually trying to infringe their rights of the Second Amendment. And he reassured gun owners that regulations he's proposing are not a step back, but a step forward for civil society in the Second Amendment. No, any regulation that you're putting in is an infringement. So he's going on, going up there, and it's like the Simpsons movie. He's going, the US government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine.
Yeah, what are you even doing here? Like, go and act in a film.
Yeah, this isn't for you to talk about. And of course, just to wrap all this off, you can't talk about Hollywood for too long before you get on to noncery and grooming. And that's what we've got here with the latest allegations against Ezra Miller. Are you aware of Ezra Miller?
I'm aware that he's being accused of being a cultish groomer.
Well, it's not just that. He's been in a lot of trouble recently where he was arrested in Hawaii for harassing people at a karaoke bar when he got really drunk and then broke into their hotel room and threatened to kill a woman. And then when the police arrested him...
Jesus Christ, all right.
And this is the man who's presumably like the only flagship star left for the DC Extended Universe.
A few years ago, I saw him in an interview with Gal Gadot, and he was like, yeah, we're going to break the cis-hetero patriarchy or something like that. Yeah, exactly. And it was just like, right. And now he comes out as like a weird, rapey abuser.
Well, I think the funny thing about Hawaii as well is that when he was being arrested, there's video of him walking along shouting at the police officers because they weren't using his preferred pronouns of they, them. I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, you did just try and murder somebody, but I'll try and be more respectful. But I'll just go through a little bit of this. So he's been legally ordered to cease all contact and stay away from a young woman after her parents requested a protective order against the actor on the grounds that he used a variety of cult-like behaviours to groom their daughter, beginning at the age of 12. And bounding into comics here, do use his preferred pronouns, but I'm not going to respect that. You go away on that one. North Dakota Standing Rock Sioux Reservation resident Chase Iron Eyes and his wife Sarah Jumping Eagle filed a protective order against him with the Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Court June 7th out of concern for the safety of their now 18-year-old daughter, Dakota Iron Eyes. According to her parents, Miller took an immediate and apparently innocent liking to her upon their first meeting in 2016, at which time the actor was 23 and she was 12. Bit weird, bit sus. From there, they allege the two developed a friendship which saw the actor offer the young Dakota a variety of opportunities out of his own pocket. Such opportunities included flying...
Totally innocent.
Yeah. Flying her when she was 14 to London to tour the studio where Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was filmed, and 2 years later offering to pay her college attendance in Massachusetts, the latter incident of which Dakota's parents claim Miller would later use against her to create a sense of indebtedness. Dakota's parents further claim that as their friendship continued, the actor provided her with alcohol, LSD, and marijuana. Very responsible, very cool. Throughout her teenage years.
How is this not grooming?
This is absolutely grooming. Getting them onto alcohol, LSD, and marijuana, putting her in a state where she's going to be very suggestible and very vulnerable.
Making her feel special and then using it against her, things like this. This is all terrible.
This is terrible. And that he exhibited what the couple described as a pattern of corrupting a minor, you don't say. Though it's unclear whether she accepted the actor's offer of monetary support, the young Sue's Tribe member eventually attended and subsequently dropped out of the Massachusetts private school in December 2021 and took up at least temporary residence with Miller in the aftermath. That's very strange behavior.
He's been grooming her since she was 12.
And then all of a sudden, disaster strikes, and he's the first person that she runs to. Not looking good, Ezra.
No.
They carry on to claim that 3 weeks after detoxifying upon returning home, she ran away to reunite with Miller in New York, subsequently traveling with him to LA and Hawaii. Not only that, but they believe that she, Dakota, who previously identified as non-binary, queer, and gay, and it's really sad to me that this sort of ideology has broken into the Native Americans as well, because you would hope that they would have cultural traditions to safeguard against this, but she now claims to be non-binary and transgender, after being told that she was by Miller. Great. And they complain that we call them groomers. She responded to the filings on June 5th, taking to Instagram, this is the girl who was groomed now, saying, a statement to acknowledge the tragedy that is the narrative of the general public and the assumptions made on my behalf by my family and friends regarding my stability and otherwise. And I'm going to trust the words completely of a definitely not groomed and brainwashed 18-year-old here. She carries on, I dropped out of the school 5 months ago and my friend and comrade William passed shortly thereafter. My mind was incredibly impacted and I've needed space and time for the processing of grief. My comrade, note the repeated use of the phrase comrade here, Ezra Miller, for the entirety of the aforementioned era, has only provided loving support and invaluable protection throughout this period of loss. Protection from your parents, the people who care about you, the people who want to nurture you and keep you safe from freaks like this.
Well, I mean, calling him comrade, they're communists, right?
Of course.
I mean, Ezra Miller was obviously a communist. Like when he was with Gal Gadot and he was saying, we're going to smash the cis-hetero patriarchy, me. So, yeah, okay, commie.
Yeah. I am in no way or under any circumstances have ever been during my short-lived adulthood in need of a conservatorship.
Okay.
If you say so. My father and his allegations hold no weight and are frankly transphobic and based on the notion that I am somehow incapable of coherent thought or opposing opinions to those of my own kindred, worrying about my well-being. I am now aware of the severity of my emotional and psychological manipulation that I endured while in my parents' home. So he has brainwashed her to such the point that she thinks that it was her
they are
parents.
Transphobic, Harry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I take it all back. What am I doing? I didn't realise I'm just on the wrong side of history, obviously, in caring about this young girl who's obviously been emotionally and psychologically manipulated, and also physically, given that he's been feeding her drugs and alcohol, manipulated by some freak, some Hollywood freak who has repeatedly gone on record saying, I'm a queer icon, I'm the guy with a polyamorous sexual gang of people that I consistently interchange sex with. It's just disgusting. It's just absolutely disgusting that this sort of thing goes on. And these are the people trying to set the moral standards for our society. So, rejected at all costs. Don't fund these people. Go watch Top Gun, because that sounds like a good time.
But I love that, as if in like a few years' time, she's not going to be like, oh, actually, he was taking advantage.
Oh, absolutely. How at that sort of age are you even supposed to be experienced enough to be able to recognise this? And
it's just like, surely, are we not... Like the leftists would normally go, well, let's talk about power differentials. Okay, let's talk about the famous Hollywood actor man who's taking advantage of the 12-year-old girl
from some random reservation somewhere.
He's just taking a liking to for some reason, who's now 18 and it's just like, no, I'm totally the equal of this person. It's like, really, any left-wing analysis would say you're not. and you're being taken advantage. You're being exploited by any left-wing analysis.
Well, with the left-wing analysis, it's always exploitation unless we're the ones doing it.
Yes.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to be trying to distance themselves from Ezra Miller. Although, actually, I have seen some trying to defend him and be like, listen, he's just trying to liberate this young girl from her obviously oppressive parents.
Okay, now what about breaking into the woman's thing and threatening to kill her in Hawaii?
Oh, they were probably just not respecting his pronouns,
yeah,
just like the police.
Exactly. It's not that he's mental.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can become a member and find all of our premium content on lotuseaters.com, including the latest Contemplations, number 75, What Makes Good Art, which was a discussion between Bo and Josh. If you're interested in finding Josh on social media, you can find him on Getter at Josh_firm. Thank you and goodbye.